Hello, and welcome to
Dave Campbell's Rising.
Dave Campbell's Rising, episode 2. And we want to reset the stage here. If you're new, welcome. This is our brand new recruiting show, brand new internet show of the DCTF lineup. And our sole purpose with this show is to shine the light on Texas high school football prospects all across the state of Texas. And man, I can't believe it's already episode 2. It's kind of crazy.
It's crazy.
It really is.
It's thick of the middle of recruiting season too. So.
It sure is. Perfect time to start our brand new show. My name is Mallory Hartley. I'm the coordinating producer of recruiting here at Dave Campbell's Texas Football. And sitting alongside me, he is the director of recruiting at Dave Campbell's Texas Football, Greg Powers. Howdy. Big headlines this week. I'm fired up for the first part of the show. Big headlines this week, and we'll get to that in just a second, but we'll once again reintroduce our show lineup. So currently right now, Dave Campbell's Rising will be once a month, and it's going to be the last Wednesday of every month. But when it comes football season, we're going to be once a week. So we're going to be added to the weekly lineup of internet shows at Dave Campbell's Texas Football once the football season hits. How exciting is that?
That's pretty exciting. Now, I was thinking about our schedule. The last month of June, we're going to be in College Station for the last Wednesday
week of June.
Yeah, the last week of June. Yeah. Maybe we'll be here on Wednesday, but maybe we'll call an audible then. I was just thinking, the recruiting nerd in me, it just never goes to sleep.
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah, we'll probably still be here, but we'll maybe be on our way to watch some recruiting at Texas State 7-on-7 in June. But shall we get to it? We'll talk about here our quick rundown. So headlines, we've got some pretty sick headlines for today. We're going to be naming the first 5-star in the class of 2026. We'll talk about some recruiting for some of the college programs around the state. We have a sit-down interview with Prosper offensive tackle Bryce Gilmore coming up. We'll have Carter's segment as well, some under-the-radar type recruiting. And then lastly, we're going to close it with a breakdown of the Carthage Bulldogs. No introduction necessary, I think.
75633 for the homie Gabe Brooks.
Home of Gabe. Shout out Gabe Brooks.
There you go.
Always. All right, y'all. Let's get into it. We're just gonna dive right into it. Okay.
Let's do it.
So you've been doing a lot of rankings recently. If you haven't seen it on TexasFootball.com/recruiting, you have been releasing the top 10 positional rankings, sporadically, right?
Yeah.
We've released 3 so far. We're going to keep doing that as the off season rolls on. But you texted me on Tuesday night. Maybe it was Monday night. I think it was Tuesday, Monday night, whatever. We were talking about.
It was after the Elite 11 camp.
It was after the Elite 11 camp, and you were on a kick from the Elite 11 camp. And you texted me and you said, "Hey, how about we name the first 5-star in the class of 2026?" And as y'all can probably assume, he was at the Elite 11 camp that you went to down in Austin on Saturday. And with that being said, I'll toss this over to you.
So the Elite 11 camp was loaded with top quarterbacks, and just for the fans that may be casual to football recruiting, it is an annual camp that collects the top quarterbacks in the region, and they qualify to go to the Elite 11 finals, which is the top quarterbacks in the country, where they select the MVP. Some of the recent MVPs from Texas include Jackson Arnold, Cade Klubnik, DJ Lagway. Those were some of the top guys who took home that MVP honor in recent years. So Keyshawn Henderson cashed his check to the Elite 11 finals, but today he's cashing 5-star status on Dave Campbell's Texas Football, because we're ready to name the number 1 prospect in the state as a 5-star, and that's our first 5-star in the class of 2026. And there will only be 5 stars in every class. So he's the first of 5. So congratulations to Keyshawn Henderson. I'm going to do it like he's not a 5-star yet till I push this button.
Oh, you're going to do this live?
Yeah, So Keyshawn Henderson is officially a 5-star now.
He's officially a 5-star. Let's go.
Now he's officially a 5-star. So he's committed to Houston, and Cougars fans should be fired up about his commitment. Not only because he's a 5-star, he's the highest rated Houston Cougars commit of all time, beating Ed Oliver by 1 spot. So Ed Oliver was the number 2 prospect in the state. Keyshawn Henderson is the number 1 prospect. But why I think Cougars fans should be fired up is that he's saying all the right things about his commitment. He's locked in with the Cougars 100%. Talked to him specifically about that, but he came away with some great quotes, and I just want to read one to you. After I'm gone, I want the city to be thriving off a great program and a great group of guys around it. I want Houston to be on the map. When people think of Houston, they think of football, not basketball. Now, that's a dude you want to build your recruiting class around, and I think he can change the UH program.
I was going to say, that to me sounds like a program-changing commit for them.
Oh, and
he committed back in May of last season, and he still seems as dialed in as forever. What is our saying always? Watch what they do, not what they say.
Yep.
I think this kind of goes for both. I mean, he took an unofficial visit, I think, up to Houston a couple months ago, or maybe a month ago.
And then he was back yesterday.
He took a picture with the mayor of Houston, like at a basketball game, and I was like,
Henderson
this dude is dialed in.
He should be the mayor. Keyshawn Henderson should be the mayor, and he is. He's working all the top recruits to join him. He wants, like, if you're from Houston, I think he's pitching, stay with me here.
Yeah.
Let's build something for the city.
Yes.
And that's a great pitch, right? There's a lot of great talent in Houston.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun to watch. Willie Fritz really got a grand slam. I don't think a home run's even fair. This was like a walk-off grand slam with Keyshawn Henderson being the ringleader of this UH class. And what the future is going to be could be pretty special there. I'm excited to see what it's going to be like 2 years from now. Is this commitment pushing them forward?
Right. Well, and let me ask you this last question on him. So we actually have him labeled as an athlete. So we released our top 10 quarterback rankings a couple weeks ago, and he was not on that list. And there were a lot of people asking you, okay, well, why? You have him listed as an athlete. Do you think he chose Houston because he's got a good chance at playing quarterback? Because I think he kind of wants to play quarterback.
Oh, yeah, he's going to play quarterback. Yeah, he's playing quarterback at Houston. We do rank him as an athlete, which includes quarterback. So I think the proper way to maybe, as I introduce him moving forward, is going to be QB athlete for right now. Yeah. But don't be surprised if he slides into the quarterback rankings at some point. The way I see athlete is it encompasses all position groups. So just because you're rated as an athlete doesn't mean you can't be a quarterback. Right. You can be a great college quarterback and be rated as an athlete.
I love it. Keyshawn Henderson, first 5-star named in the class of 2026.
That was fun.
At Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Next headline. Let's move on. Texas A&M. The recruiting trail is smoking hot for the Aggies right now. And just this past weekend, they were able to land their first 2 in-state commitments. Now, they have 9 commitments overall in the class of 2026. Wait, I said 9 or 8? I meant 9.
9. Yeah, you said 9. You got it.
I think it's 9. Yeah, I've got it in my head. 9 commitments overall. 2 back-to-back in-state commitments for the Texas A&M Aggies in the class of 2026. We'll start with Cibolo Steele, 4-star running back Jonathan Hatton. Now, we've talked a lot about Jonathan Hatton here the past couple of days because you named him the 3rd best running back in the class of 2026 in the state of Texas. Tell me what's so special about Jonathan Hatton. What are the Aggies getting in him?
Well, he's a workhorse running back, 6 foot, 6'1", 205, 215. He can run right over you, but he has great footwork in the hole. So he has a little bit of make you miss. Not often that you see that in somebody with such an elite frame. And I think that he fits the SEC perfectly. Tip of the cap to everything that they're doing there, because now for back-to-back years, they have stayed in state to grab an elite running back prospect. Last year, it was Tiger Ryden from DeSoto, who is, of course, one of the top programs in
one
the
of my
entire.
Favorites.
Yeah, you always want to have a pipeline to DeSoto. And now Cibolo Steele's Hatton, who is also an elite running back, and Steele is one of the top programs in the state. So I love to see a school recruiting some of the top programs, but also they've done an excellent job keeping it home in the last 2 classes at RB.
And then they were also able to bring in Houston legacy wide receiver Mike Brown. And what I took away from that article that you wrote about him was that quote that said, "I've been around A&M my whole life. My dad and mom both went there, and it has always felt like home. I can see myself thriving in that program." That's powerful.
Thriving is key, because Mike Brown is a guy that had over 30 scholarship offers
Right.
whenever he made the decision to commit to Texas A&M. He's one of my favorite recruits in this class because he is an elite route runner. He's a guy who can transition in and out of his cuts, and he gets great separation at the top of his routes. I also think he's extremely versatile from a roster perspective because I think he can play inside out or outside in. He can be in the slot, or you can kick him out and let him do some outside wide receiver stuff. High football IQ. He's the son of a former football legend,
He's got that
former
pedigree.
first-round NFL draft pick, and his brother Reggie Brown was one of my favorite recruits whenever he signed with Tulane, a handful of years ago. So football runs in that family, and they live, eat, and sleep football. So this is a guy that's going to go into that program and I think move the needle. Basically can be a coach on the field. You can rely on him to do the right things, but guess what? You can also rely on him to catch every ball that's thrown in his direction and be open.
His tape's really fun.
I love his commitment. I think this is like one of those sneaky good players that A&M fans will be like thinking back to this day and be like, oh, that day we got Mike Brown. That was like
that was a good day.
That was like a good day. Yeah.
That was a good day. Again, Texas A&M hot on the recruiting trail for the class of 2026. And finally, in headlines, Texas State recruiting, pulling in 2 Texas in-state commits this week. But before we get to that, I think it's worth mentioning that former North Texas Director of Recruiting, Justin Owens, accepted the football general manager job at Texas State. Give me your thoughts on that.
Yeah, big hire for Texas State. He was the director of player personnel at North Texas for the past 2 years, I believe, there at UNT before getting a promotion. And I would say this general manager position now in college football is something that's transitioning into being a big deal. So I think his responsibilities there will include more roster management type of things that he was doing differently at North Texas, in addition to being that great recruiter that you see uncovering some hidden gems across Texas high school football.
Right.
Coach Owens, of course, a former Texas high school football coach, but he's well known for his camps and, the opportunity slogan that's out there to identify guys. And there for, a good handful of years or more, he was running, that opportunity camp series and identifying some of these top Texas talents. And I think that's what makes him unique in this recruiting space, is that he has an idea of where some of this elite talent may be under the radar at and how to find them. And that's something I think that he did really well at UNT, and I'm excited to see that now at Texas State. Texas State's been doing a great job in recruiting, I feel like, underneath of Coach Kenny. Like, they are an exciting program. They offer a lot of the right kids in Texas, and it's been really fun to watch. So I just think this helps them push even a notch more in the right direction there.
Well, and Coach Owens, only being there for a short time, was able to pull in North Forney 2026 wide receiver Elijah
Otiano.
I knew I was going to mispronounce that, so I was like, we'll look to the recruiting guru and you can tell me how to
Good
pronounce
commitment.
that.
They also landed a commitment from Carson Crawford at Carthage.
Which we'll talk about later.
We'll talk a little bit more about him later, but when I went and watched North Forney last season, they played Forney. It was the crosstown battle, right? Elijah Otiano caught all of the completions in the game. So I think he had like 5 receptions for over 100 yards in that game. He was the only wide receiver at North Forney to catch a pass that night. So that just speaks to the talent level that he has, and I feel like he fits well in the slot there at Texas State.
North Forney's got Forney does too, but North Forney's got a lot of talent. There's a ton of talent out there in Forney anyways. Coach Fleener and Coach Shavers have done a phenomenal job there.
Excellent
at those
program building going on over there at FISD.
Absolutely. All right, well, that wraps up our headlines segment. I'll throw it to you because I know you want to throw it back to me.
Yeah, because we were all at Prosper yesterday, and you got to sit down with offensive tackle Bryce Gilmore, who is a monster, quite simply.
Oh, yeah. He's 16 years old, and I had to go, hey, Bryce, nice to meet you.
Tons of offers. How many offers? Was like close to 40?
40 offers, but he's got six official visits scheduled for this summer. So I got to sit down and talk to him and kind of pick his brain on who he likes.
Here's a portion of that interview, but check back TexasFootball.com/recruiting for the entire interview, which is probably like around 15 minutes with Bryce Gilmore. But here's Mallory's
sneak peek.
Here's Mallory Hartley's exclusive with Bryce Gilmore.
Sitting down here with Bryce Gilmore, 4-star 2026 offensive tackle out of Prosper High School. You and I were talking a little bit before this. I always love to ask players, did you grow up in the high school that you're currently playing at, or are you from somewhere else? And you were telling me that you were actually born in Arizona.
Yeah, I was born in Arizona, but I moved here when I was in first grade to Prosper, and then we've just stayed in this area ever since.
So first grade, that's pretty young. So did you keep up with Arizona high school football at all when you were younger?
Not as much, but like I kind of knew the school that I wanted to go to back then, but I've done forgot it now that I'm here in Prosper.
So moving to Texas and getting a feel for how big Texas high school football really is. I mean, I'm going to go on record and say it. Texas has the best high school football, I think, in the nation.
100%.
It's not even debatable at this point, What were your initial thoughts when you started to really come to the realization that Texas high school football, we do it big here?
Yes, ma'am. My initial thoughts were like, am I really going to be playing football? Like, because my mom really wanted me to play basketball because she wanted to keep me away from football, really. So I just had to be like, okay, I'm a grow up playing basketball a little bit. But it was more into like eighth grade year going this summer where Coach Thompson, our O-line coach, he was like, yeah, you're going to be playing football. You're going to be off.
He saw your size and your potential, and he was like, yeah, you're going to be playing
just come to the early workouts and you'll be fine.
So what did your dad think of that when you decided you wanted to play football? Because he played in the NFL for a couple years, and then after his college career at Midwestern State.
He wanted me to play football, but like he also listened to my mom more, and he was like, yeah, I think he should be a basketball player.
You should.
And then when I come back home from that very summer camp, they were like, oh, so you're playing football now? And I'm like, oh, what a surprise, the city grew up playing it. It's Texas, because like a bunch of these people, they play Pee Wee football, like their sons have been playing together since they were like really young.
Right.
So it's just going into that and then trying to get the starting spot and then just keep working from there.
Right. And what do you think, in your own words, makes you a special player? You can talk to me kind of about your strengths and what makes you stand out above the rest.
I say what makes me stand out above the rest is my potential, because I've barely been playing this position. I'm only getting better at it, day by day. And then me just being athletic helps out with that. And I hear it a lot from coaches. They're like, you're nowhere near your ceiling, And so that's why they want.
It's true, yeah.
That's why they want me, and so they can develop me to get to that ceiling that they see me at.
Absolutely. Well, that's a great transition. We can start talking about your official visits. You have 40 offers now, which is incredible. Talk to me a little bit about what that means to you and the opportunities that you have been given.
Yes, ma'am. I mean, I'm truly blessed to have like all 40 of these offers, but I had to cut it down obviously for OVs and unofficials, and I went ahead and just cut it down to 6, which was Vanderbilt, Arkansas, Texas Tech, Penn State, Arizona State, Ole Miss. And
man, you rattled those off like no other. That's awesome.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
So we'll kind of go one by one here. I'm going to bring up Penn State first. Talk to me a little bit about what makes the Nittany Lions so special.
Their offensive line coach and just how much linemen are produced over there has really spoke volumes to me. And I know if you're just looking at social media, you think, how did Penn State make it if they only offered him like within a day of him dropping his top 6 or whatever? And it's not like that. Like I've known Coach Trotwine like for a long time. He's seen me grow and he's seen me develop, and he was simply evaluating me to see if I deserved and earned that offer, and if I could actually go there and start at Penn State. And that means a lot to me, getting the offer from him alone, and just the overall culture of Penn State is just amazing.
It is. It really is. You have another official visit scheduled to Texas Tech, and you said you're going to be up there this weekend for an unofficial. And speaking about relationships, Coach McGuire is great at that. He's known for building those types of deep relationships. And I know that he was up here in January or February to talk to you guys.
January.
Yeah. What makes the Road Raiders so special in Lubbock?
What makes them special is obviously Coach Lemons, who was our old defensive line coach. And then because he told some colleges about me in my earlier stages when I was still playing JV and stuff, he was like, y'all are going to want to get on this kid. And they did, and them having Ellis and Carty up there is a big push also for me, because those are like my brothers, and me being with them for my like 2 or 1 year, like that means a lot to me. So.
Absolutely.
just having them be at Texas Tech and them telling me how the coaches are up there, how they truly are, it just helps me.
And your final official visit scheduled is Arkansas, and a lot of people think you really like Arkansas.
Yes, ma'am. I saw that.
Yes, ma'am. Some stuff. So I'm gonna push you on it. What makes the Razorbacks so special to you?
Coach Mateos, and like he's been watching me ever since I was literally a freshman, and we've just been close, you know. And I guess me going up there and saying that I loved it up there really made people like change my predictions and stuff. But honestly, it's just like I love some Arkansas, you know, so can't wait to go back up there in OB.
And finally, I wanted to ask you, what is the most important factor that your decision is going to come down to? What are you most looking for in a college before you commit? What is going to be that final straw for you?
Final straw will be the offensive line room in general.
Yeah.
Because that's where I'm going to be at. And also the strength and nutrition program, because, I mean, I'm going to be in the facilities like almost 24/7. Being in my freshman year, graduating early, that's where I'm going to be at. So building that relationship with the strength coach and the offensive line coach and the offensive line room, that will really have me want to commit to a school, because I can't just go to a school and be like a black cat compared to everybody else, you know, because that's not going to help me grow as a player. Because the reason why I grew so quickly is because I bonded with everybody on my team and I wanted to be better for them. So that's what's really made me better as a person and as a football player and as a teammate. So when I commit, that's why I want my reason to be still.
July 3rd is when he makes that official announcement.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, Bryce, thanks so much for the time, and we're all rooting for you here at Dave Campbell's Texas Football.
Thank you.
Joined out here by Hayden Gunner at Denton High School. Man, it's a big day for you. You got your decision coming right now.
After a lot of thinking, with the family, talking, stressing out.
Let's see exactly where Malik Hawkins is going to be heading.
First off, I want to start by thanking God. Without him, I wouldn't be anything. I wouldn't be blessed with all these opportunities.
He's got 5 schools he's choosing between. We're about to find out who it's going to be. Got your teammates, coaches, family, friends surrounding you, so you couldn't have a bigger stage right here to announce it on. So without further ado, we're going to go to the man right here, Kobe Foreman. Who's it going to be?
I will be attending.
I'll be committed to the University of Oklahoma.
University of Texas A&M.
Stanford University.
The University of Oklahoma.
Welcome back into Dave Campbell's Rising. You know what time it is?
I sure do know what time it is. It's time for Here's a Guy with Carter Yates.
Listen up, Texas high school football fans. Here's a guy from Orangefield that's going to make you feel like you got a little extra pulp swimming around in that noggin after he hits you. I'm talking about 2026 linebacker Caleb Menard. 2 years ago, as a sophomore, he was the district defensive newcomer of the year, and last year he was the district defensive MVP with 116 tackles, 17 tackles for loss, 10 sacks and a whopping 6 forced fumbles. This guy is relentless as a boundary linebacker, and Coach Jeff Bro told me that when they play opposing teams, those coaches know exactly where he is, and that boundary side is locked down. And he was key to them in their district championship game for Orangefield at an 8-2 record, but then got injured in that last game, and you saw how valuable he was to that defense because they lost 49-42 to Fairfield. Fairfield dropped back 30 times, and Coach Bro spent all offseason thinking about, man, what if we had Caleb Menard in that game? Good news. He's coming back next year, and you're going to see more of these type of hits. All right, guys, first highlight tape. This is a lesson to all you linebackers out there. Make your hardest tape your first huddle highlight tape, because this is what I saw when you open up the film on Caleb Menard. Just comes screaming off the edge, and watch this. Puts the running back in the juicer. Bam! Let's watch that again. This is what he does best, guys. Comes right off the edge here and just hits opponents like that. Now, this play is teach tape for all you young outside linebackers out here. Watch Caleb Menard just set the edge on this pulling guard. Bam! And then stonewalls him, then hangs on for dear life for the cavalry to come. Gotta watch this again, guys. Just look at him set the edge right there. And he's doing this at 6'1", 205 pounds. And that's against interior offensive linemen. Just think about what he can do in college once he balloons up to about 230 in a college weight room. This is why opponents don't run at Menard's side. They are going to bring 3 pulling blockers. He is getting triple teamed right here and still forces the fumble, gets his team the ball back. Because when he hits you guys, he's doing turnover Tuesday every single time. He's not trying to just bring it to the ground. He's trying to get the ball back for his offense. Let's watch this again. Look at the screen grab. There are 1, 2, 3 guys all around him right here, and he still makes the play. Got to run this back. We'll watch this whole thing again. It's one of my favorite tapes I've seen from a class of 2026 prospect right here. And the reason we're doing this, guys, is he's got no offers right now. Okay, but there's schools that's circling, and Jeff Bro coached in college for 8 years and said there's no doubt in his mind Caleb Menard should play college football. He's been invited to Henderson State Junior Day. He's been texting with the McNeese State coaches a little bit. He's had Air Force asking for his film, and also the University of Houston has stopped by Orangefield to check out Menard and his teammates. So he won't be a no-offer man for long. It's time for Texas colleges to get on this guy like white on rice. Guys, that's Caleb Menard. Signing off, I'm Carter Yates with Dave Campbell's Texas Football.
Thank you, Carter Yates, for the insight.
What a Texas high school football treasure. Here's a guy is.
He really is. That segment is a true treasure. And in all honesty, I love that segment because the reason that we wanted to have something like this on this show, because I think it makes it a little bit special. I mean, it's like you might not hear about this kid anywhere else but here, and our goal is to get their name out there and hoping that this segment does so.
I was shaking my head at the beginning of that, but yeah, I agree with you 100% on what you said, but I thought you were going to say, or what you should have said is, dude talking ball in the ball talking zone. No. Dudes talking, yeah.
No.
Thanks, Carter. Appreciate that. Let's talk some more ball next month.
Thank you, Carter. Anyways, let's move on. Team Spotlight. Oh, I forgot to put up the graphic.
Here we go. Team Spotlight, Carthage Bulldogs. We're going to have it coming on the graphic behind us here as we talk about my special homage to putting the zip code up there again for our buddy Gabe Brooks, who is here in spirit with us. 2026 running back KJ Edwards, though.
Yeah.
A lot of Carthage Bulldogs fans are excited about this guy.
Oh, yeah. And it feels like, obviously, there's no introduction needed for this Carthage team.
Like you transition to Carthage, start talking about KJ.
Yeah. They obviously, they just won their 10th state 4A Division. Well, they just won the 4A Division II state championship a couple months ago. And under Coach Scott Surratt, he got his 10th ring. And it just seems like a program that always has dudes. And like you said, we'll transition right into it. We'll talk about running back, KJ Edwards. The number 6 prospect in the state. You rated him as the 2nd best running back in the state of Texas in the class of 2026. He rushed for over 1,700 yards, 23 touchdowns, catching 31 passes for 382 yards and 3 scores. And he's got over 40 offers. And he's looking at programs like Baylor, SMU, Texas, Texas A&M, Alabama. The list is huge.
Oh, yeah.
All the big time programs want KJ there.
And deservedly so. I mean, he put up big numbers last year, but he is lightning in a bottle. I think that's the best way to describe his skill set on the field. He's a guy who can make people miss in tight quarters. And if you want to watch our entire breakdown on the top 5 running backs in the class of 2025, you can hit texasfootball.com/recruiting, where we go in depth about KJ Edwards and what makes him special and what a college might get when they sign him. But what Carthage Bulldogs fans have to be excited about is that he is a true workhorse back, a guy that you can rely on to move the chains on any of the downs. He's a great pass catcher out of the backfield as well, so he's not a liability on third downs, and he's just so fun to watch. We watched his tape here in the office and just had a blast. This running back group in 2026
it's just stacked.
Is just sick. It's loaded. But KJ Edwards has one of the funnest highlight tapes, I feel like, in the country. If you love football, you should check him out.
2026 wide receiver Camion Jr. Henderson collected 64 catches for over 1,000 yards and 18 touchdowns as a junior in 2024. And he's got offers from programs like North Texas, Texas State, UTEP, UTSA, Kentucky, Louisiana Tech, Tulane, and more. What do you like about Henderson?
Well, he's a field stretcher. He went for over 1,000 yards last year. Really picked up a lot of touchdowns. He's a guy who can move the sticks. He can be a true red zone threat. He, one of the things that I really like about him is how he adjusts to the deep ball. I guess you can really see that on his tape as he was able to climb the ladder and go pluck the ball out of the air, but he makes good adjustments and tracks that ball pretty naturally as he's trying to make tough catches with defensive backs draped all over him. I look at his list and I'm a little bit surprised that there's not more P4 schools on it. There's a couple on here that did a pretty good job of making early offers, but I feel like in the spring evaluation period, when people go out and see the production that he has and the frame that he has.
I was going to say 6'4", 180. I mean, that's...
more P4 offers are going to come for Junior Henderson.
I think so, too. Moving on, let's talk about quarterback play. We'll talk about 2026 quarterback Jet Surratt, standing at 6'1", 170, obviously the son of head coach Scott Surratt. Passed for 3,378 yards and 53 touchdowns.
53 touchdowns, you said?
53 touchdowns. That's exactly what I said. And he's got offers from Colorado State, Houston, Texas Tech, UNLV, UTEP, and UTSA.
Obviously, he's the son of the head coach, so he has a high football IQ, but his production was ridiculous last year. And I'm really looking forward to what this season brings for Jet, because I think he's going to have a really big year this year, because I think he's going to be 100% healthy, a guy that can really take command of that offense. And what I really love seeing with his development is the confidence that he's starting to play with. I feel like he's always been a very confident leader, but I feel like he's really buying into it now, and his senior year is going to probably be his most productive. But he's got a target on his back now, because they won the state championship last year. Like last year, they had something to prove because they got beat in 2023. So there was some extra motivation there. So I'm pretty intrigued to see not only how he deals with the pressure of that now that they're the, returning champions, but how the whole team deals with it, right? Because now people are going to be coming after you. They want to win the ring. You're the benchmark.
Right. But this team's so loaded. It's
fun.
hard to see them not making it back to AT&T Stadium this year, but it'll be fun to watch quarterback Jet Surratt at the home there again this year. Moving right along, let's talk about 2026 linebacker DeQuivis Beck, 6'1", 205. We've got him rated as a 4-star prospect. He earned defensive MVP honors after a dominant showing in the state title game this past season. And schools like Baylor, Texas A&M, SMU, Oklahoma, and Oklahoma State are in the mix to land him. Yeah,
he's one of the most heavily pursued linebackers in the Lone Star State in the 2026 cycle. He's already rated as a DCTF 4-star prospect. So he's just like a known commodity, right, on defense. I think he's naturally going to get a lot of comparisons to former Carthage star linebacker Kip Lewis, who's at Oklahoma. And naturally so, because they have similar size. But they play pretty differently, I would say. Kip to me they both fly around, but I just feel like Beck is more of like a hard knocks type of linebacker, a guy who really isn't afraid to square you up and put you down. And Kip Lewis will do that. But I think of him as more of a pursuit guy, where I think of Beck as a guy that just loves to lay you out.
Yeah.
And I think we saw some of that in the state championship game. A lot of colleges have taken notice of that as well. And they're pretty aware of his talent, right? Like he's just like one of these guys who he's been a multiple time all district winner, but 102 tackles and 21 tackles for a loss last year. His production speaks for itself.
Yeah, absolutely. Another linebacker in the class of 2026 there at Carthage is Carson Crawford, and we've kind of already talked about him a little bit, most recent Texas State commit, but he was one of those breakout stars in the state title game this season.
Yeah, for sure. Carson Crawford, I think, was right there with Beck for defensive MVP honors. I think that was like the most hotly debated one in the press box. I think that people were like really vocal about Carson Crawford or about Beck. I think Crawford was one of those guys that, for a lot of like the big time guys who cover recruiting, was more of a surprise, right? I think people in Carthage knew plenty about Crawford heading into that game. But for some of the people who may have never watched the Bulldogs play before that, he was a true eye-opener. And a lot of colleges were able to take note of his presence in that game, and you saw his recruitment spike a little bit afterwards. But he's so athletic. You know, he's a guy that can really move around and do some different things on the defensive side of the ball. And I think that speaks well to his upside. He made his commitment to Texas State this week, and they're getting a guy that can just come from a top-tier program and has a high upside. I think he can develop in that Texas State program into a guy that they have to fight other programs off from coming to try to raid their roster for. You know, he's a P4 level talent, and he's going to be a big time dude at some point in the future.
Ish was so pumped when he saw that on Twitter.
Yeah,
he sent it to me. Ishmael Johnson, noted Texas State alum and big fan. He sent it to me. He was like, "Let's go!" And I was like, "That's a great pickup."
I think it's fair to say Carson Crawford is like an office favorite because of how hard he plays.
Yeah.
Like he plays like his hair is on fire.
Yeah.
No snaps off.
It's awesome.
Dude's just fun to watch.
Yeah. And finally, let's round it out. We'll go down to the class of 2028 and talk about athlete J.D. Edwards. Wait, Edwards.
Yeah.
Edwards.
That's right.
You mean like the younger brother of KJ Edwards?
That is.
There's
the
another
one? And
one?
only.
Oh, man. He was one of the only freshmen invited to the Under Armour camp. Is
Not
that
very
correct?
many freshmen there.
Yeah, that's right. And then he's obviously already catching the attention of a couple of P4 programs. He's got a couple of P4 offers from SMU and Texas A&M.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and try to make it a combo deal, right? Like if you're trying to get
No kidding.
KJ Edwards, you might as well go ahead and get JD Edwards.
Correct.
Like KJ, he got some varsity action last year as a freshman. KJ got some varsity action when he was a freshman. JD, I think, will add a new wrinkle to this offense next year because I see him lining up in the slot. He worked out at wide receiver at the Under Armour camp and showed off that he's pretty quick. You know, I don't know what he ran in the 40 or anything like that from that camp, but watched him go in and out of his breaks. He's pretty speedy.
Yeah.
So he's going to bring something different to the table, I feel like. And now that he's got a little bit of seasoning under his belt, has watched his brother go through the recruiting process, he's the next one up.
You know, Coach Surratt's like, yes, let's go.
Whenever he was coming into the program, he's like, another Edwards, the brother of KJ. And
he's like, I'll take it.
Then you see him run, right? Like, future's bright for the Edwards family and the Carthage Bulldogs because JD is the next rising star in that program.
Well, looking at this list, I think the future's bright for a long time for the Carthage Bulldogs. I don't think they're going away anytime soon.
No.
This is a stacked roster.
Been a pretty consistent dominance out there in 7-5-6-3-3.
Absolutely. Well, Powers, I think that'll do it for episode 2 of Dave Campbell's Rising.
Yeah, join us next month.
Kind of a stacked episode.
Yeah, it was a fun episode.
It was a fun episode. Do you have anything else for the viewers?
Just keep it locked in. Like, we're coming into commitment season, right? So keep it locked on TexasFootball.com/recruiting, not only for those top 10 lists that we're talking about, but I think that your favorite team's about to land some prospects and add them to their commit list.
Right. And if you watched the commercial earlier, if you want to commit, if you're a prospect watching this and you want to commit live in the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Studios right here and get interviewed by Greg Powers, you can contact us, or we can also come to you if you want to commit live at your school in front of friends, family, coaches, players, whatever. We'll come to you. Just shoot us an email, or you can follow us on Twitter and DM us, and we'll get something set up. Sound good?
Sounds like a plan to me.
I'll
be there.
I'll be there too. Next, Dave Campbell's Rising episode 3. It will be April 23rd, it looks like. So it's kind of weird because there's 5 Wednesdays in April. So I'm assuming.
So we get
that
the
we'll just
4th?
We'll get the 4th.
2 Rising
So
shows next month then.
I would be so down for that. 2 Risings. We'll see. But we will see you next month for Dave Campbell's Rising episode 3 for Vianney Moreno, Sam Moore, Greg Powers. Thanks again to Bryce Gilmore for joining us. I'm Mallory Hartley. We'll see you next month for Dave Campbell's Rising.